Now, I know that Tableau was purchased last year by Salesforce, and I'm interested in learning about what has happened since then. How are the two organizations fitting together kind of organizationally, strategically, and what impact does that have on the way, Tableau and Salesforce CRM products work together? And also what implications does it have for Snowflake users?
Well, it has been a really exciting year since Salesforce acquired Tableau. And we're still in the early days, but fundamentally, the reason that Tableau fits so well with Salesforce is that Salesforce has been driving digital transformations with customers. And at the heart of every single digital transformation is data.
Mhm.
Every process generates data. And they needed the best, easiest to use tool to understand and get insights from that data. And that's really what Tableau helps unlock within the Salesforce platform is it brings powerful analytics that can help customers, right, get a complete view of their customers so that they can drive better engagements, they can deliver better services, they can engage with them in better ways. And so really the two companies are partnering together to help companies drive digital transformations forward and enable them to analyze all of their data, whether it's stored in Salesforce or outside of Salesforce. And that's actually been something really interesting because Tableau works with any data, not just Salesforce data. And we work on premises, not just in the cloud. And that's really, really important. But something that Salesforce has been realizing over a number of years with the acquisition of MuleSoft a few years ago, where they realized that customers need to have a much broader purview of all of the data that's coming from all their systems and bring that all together to get a complete view of their customers. Now, Tableau continues to be an independent business unit within the Salesforce family. So we have the same team, the same mission. And with Salesforce, we have the opportunity to dramatically accelerate the amount of innovation and the customers that we can help. And that's just been really, really encouraging and fun to see.
Now, we talked before about the connector that Tableau has with Snowflake, and I imagine Tableau had the same kind of connectors with the Salesforce CRM products. But are you doing more deep integration with Salesforce at this point?
We are working with Salesforce in the same way that we're working with any other data source from the standpoint that we want to help people visualize all their data, whether it's stored in Salesforce or outside of Salesforce. So we're going to continue to enrich all of our connectors to all data sources.
Right, right.
But Salesforce has this breadth of technologies from Einstein to MuleSoft to Quip, really an incredible set of capabilities that they can bring to bear for customers. And so we now have access to the full kitchen cabinet, and we're trying to figure out, what are the right innovations to bring to our customers that will deliver the most value to them in the easiest way possible.
Does that entail increased integration between Tableau and Salesforce CRM? Or could you be more specific about that?
Of course, we are looking to unlock value out of every Salesforce cloud, whether we're talking about Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, or Commerce Cloud, and enable any customer to quickly connect to that data and combine it together so you can get that complete view. Really, the direction we're going on is how do we help our customers get a single source of truth so that they can see this complete picture of their customers? It's a multi-year journey, and we are working across every single cloud and across all of our technology partners to bring that vision to life.
Now, in February, Salesforce and Snowflake announced a strategic alliance. Do you have a view into that from Tableau? Are you kind of the middleman between it, or how does the relationship between those two work, and how does Tableau fit in?
So we've had the privilege of working with Snowflake for a long time, and coming into Salesforce, we're definitely a key part of this strategic alliance between Salesforce and Snowflake. Ultimately, what we are trying to do is to make it as easy as possible for Salesforce customers to get their data into Snowflake. Today, that's complicated. It requires a lot of effort for customers to get the Salesforce data, pull it out and load it into Snowflake.
Mhm.
And what we want to do is to make it as easy to get that Salesforce data into Snowflake so it can be fast, it can be stored, it can be combined with other sources really, really easily, and used with tools like Tableau or, quite frankly, any other analytic solution or other solution that requires access to that data.
Now, help me understand the data that's in those Salesforce CRM products, those clouds. Does it have to be extracted from those software applications and pulled into Snowflake? And are there 4 copies of it? Are you able to do this in a way that it's still just one version of the truth?
Well, we are extracting the data out of the Salesforce clouds and bringing that into Snowflake, so that Snowflake becomes that analytical data source that can be used for a multitude of purposes. Generally speaking, it's never a good idea to go query a transactional database, which really Salesforce is transactional in nature with opportunities and transactions coming in every single day. And so bring it into a system that's optimized for analytics, that's optimized for queries, is really critical for our customers. And that's what we are working on. So by having that data flow out of Salesforce into Snowflake in an easier to use manner will mean that more customers will be able to get more value out of the data that they're collecting in Salesforce and then use that in a strategic way in their organization.
Yeah. So, once again, give me a scenario of how a Snowflake customer who's also a Tableau customer and a Salesforce customer, what new things are they going to be able to do as a result of all of these integrations and relationships that they couldn't do before or they couldn't do as well before?
So I'll go back to the keywords: speed and agility. Speed agility is everything these days. If you want to do, connect to Snowflake, Tableau, and Salesforce together, you could do that today, but it's going to take you time. It's going to be complicated. It's going to be expensive. It's going to require a lot of effort to connect the systems together, move the data over, get it ready for analysis, build the data models, then get it visualized. And so what we're trying to do is, again, focus on speed and agility. How do we reduce that time to value? How do we get that data into the hands of people that need it as quickly as possible? So it's not that you couldn't do it before, but the effort was so high that either a few number of companies could do it, or the time to value was so long that maybe the opportunities in front of them were missed because they
Mhm.
couldn't react as quickly as possible. And so if you think about opportunities coming through, service requests coming through, all those things, you want to get it out to be analyzed and managed by Snowflake as quickly as possible. So take an example in these COVID times. Some organizations or some agencies have been using Service Cloud to manage all of the incoming requests that they're getting from their customers. Think of I'm looking for access to a loan. I'm looking for rescheduling an appointment or cancel an order. All of these requests are coming in through a ticketing system like Service Cloud. Well, it's coming in a different pattern than it ever did before. It's probably coming in at a faster clip than it ever did before in history. Well, how do you respond to that as a company? How do you change and adapt your resources, right? Your inventory, your customer service personnel as a result of that? Well, if you're not able to get it out to be analyzed as quickly as it's coming in, well, you're not going to be able to respond to the challenges and opportunities ahead. So, getting that time, right, reduced, getting the value of that data into the hands of as many people as possible by making Snowflake that place where all questions can be answered is the difference between success and failure. And we're seeing that every single day in companies everywhere. That's the key. Speed and agility is everything.
You seem to be really passionate about the user experience. How do you keep in touch with what the user needs, what they want, what their problems are? I mean, do you just read a bunch of feedback reports, or do you actually get out there and talk to them and that kind of thing?
I think passionate is kind. We're obsessed with the user experience. We're obsessed with our customers. And that customer obsession is what drives us every day. How can we keep making technology that helps our customers be more successful? And that permeates our culture, that permeates our values. It is one of our top values as a company is customer success. And so we just inject, right, our developers, our people with opportunities to listen to customers. Everything from what you might expect, like telemetry to understand how people use the software, to one-on-one conversations that we have with our customers that give us valuable input. We drive large beta programs so we can get our technology in the hands of our customers as quickly as possible. But one of the things that Tableau has done differently, and I think Snowflake does the same thing too, is that we have an incredible community. A lot of people describe our customers as fans, but our community is probably one of the biggest assets we have. That's not on our books, but it's one that changes how we interact with ourselves, with our customers, and make sure that we build incredible capabilities. So our community gives us really powerful feedback that we listen to, right? Every feature that we build, we ask the questions: who is this for? What's the customer? Tell us who in the community has asked for this. What are the use cases? And then we continue to refine and innovate so that we can deliver that solution as delightfully, as powerfully, and as quickly as possible for our customers.
We've talked about how Tableau and Snowflake work together on behalf of their joint customers. How does Tableau use Snowflake for its own needs, for its own data analytics and data management?
Well, we're a Snowflake customer too. We use Snowflake for everything. It is our single source of truth at Tableau. Prior to this, we were using an on-prem SQL Server database. And that database was built and architected over a decade ago when Snowflake did not exist. And it was starting to show its age. We were starting to have limits on performance. We had to constantly massage it and tune it to get the performance that we needed, especially as our company grew, as the amount of data that we wanted to analyze grew, and the needs across the organization grew as well. And so we just couldn't keep up with our old approach. And so we evaluated pretty much every single database technology on the market. And we landed on Snowflake for a few reasons. Number one was performance. Could we get the performance that we needed for the amount of analytical usage we're going to put on it? Second was, could this technology enable future growth? We're 5,000 employees strong today, but what's going to happen when we're at 10,000 employees? What's going to happen when we have 10x more products and 10x more customers? Can the technology keep up? And then third is, how do we focus on our business rather than infrastructure? We didn't want to be in the business of managing databases in the old ways. We wanted to focus on the business of Tableau and let our database provider essentially ensure that we had the right storage and performance. And so when you take those characteristics, Snowflake met that list perfectly. And it is now our standard. I use it every day. I ask lots of different questions about everything from sales to telemetry data. And I go to one place, Snowflake, to find that out.
Hey, so the last question, we want to ask you to be a bit of a visionary.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Look out ahead. Look beyond this COVID crisis, though that's kind of difficult, I know. How do you see data, and specifically data analytics and data visualization, the kind of stuff that you do, how is it going to impact business and society in powerful new ways?
And that's a really, really good question. And, we see a future where data and analytics is as pervasive as Excel is today. And you might think of that and say, well, is that really a future that will ever be true? Well, if you go back in time, maybe 20, 25 years ago, Excel was not pervasive. We didn't have a PC on every desk. We thought that tools like Excel were for the finance department. They were for the select few that need to crunch numbers. And today we have, a tool like Excel on our desk every day, and we use it for a wide variety of use cases. So we have this vision that data and analytics becomes pervasive. It's part of the fabric of society. It's part of the fabric of organizations. But we're far from there. I think there's a lot of things that we have to do as a society to get there. It starts first and foremost with data literacy. Most people aren't literate in data. We're not teaching it in schools yet. And so we have to get this kind of curriculum of, how do you think with data? What is some basic math and statistics just has to be ingrained in the curriculum of our schools all over the world. Second is, as much as we have advanced technology, and we're very proud that Tableau is the number one easiest to use analytics product on the market, it's still too hard to use for too many. Right? We need a 10 to 100x improvement in ease of use of analytics. And that's going to come in multiple forms. Some of it might be natural language, artificial intelligence, or just user experience paradigm changes that will help people think with data in a much more natural way. But the third, and I think just as critical element, is that data is complex for many people. And I'm not just saying, looking at data is complex, but data is complex. It comes in different shapes and sizes, and it comes in from different places. And in order to be able to analyze that data, you have to be able to store it. You have to be able to connect to it and combine it all together. And so I think that we need a step function improvement as well in how data is managed at the enterprise scale. And I use enterprise not to qualify a company type, but really at scale, we have to make storing, managing, and scaling that data so much easier. And if all these things start coming together, we have people that are literate in data, we have the technology that's easy to use, and we have availability of data. Now we're going to be able to use it in every parts of our lives, whether it's personally, how you might look at yourself, and people do a lot of quantification of themselves, their health metrics, et cetera, whether that is looking at every single business process as companies digitize, and the online world in this post-COVID world is definitely going to change and probably become the predominant way that people work and live and interact. And so how do we adapt to those new patterns and make data, we bring that to the forefront rather than being in the background? Because the more that people are able to utilize that data as quickly as possible, the better it's going to be. And so I think every business process, every person, every company will become data companies. And I think every company will be transformed through this crisis as we move to the next normal. But every company has an opportunity to innovate and differentiate by utilizing data as the fundamental element that will make that happen.
That's kind of inspiring, Francois.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've seen a lot, but I think we can get there.
Yeah. Ever since the early days of the PDA, early 1990s, and, the personal digital assistant, but whether it was a device, and then later it really became a vision of a software application, I've always just loved the idea of having personal digital assistants for individuals that help them live their personal lives and their professional lives more successfully and satisfactorily, and with more fun too. And so I just love the idea of having PDAs that people and I guess you can call them question answering machines these days with AI, that people really have always available to them, and that they're, I think often the interface will be voice, but often the feedback might be voice, or it might be visual representations of data and things like that. So do you have a take on that? I mean, do you think that there'll be a time in the future when individuals have that kind of powerful digital companion with them all the time?
I definitely think that that's where we're headed. And, there's two kinds of things. There's the question and answering machines that will be automated, right? They'll just happen automatically without a human, right? Many business processes will be digitized and will use analytics technology to improve them automatically. But then there's the human powered ones where you want to be able to answer questions at the speed of thought. And whether that's having it in my pocket every day where I can know exactly how my business is doing, or whether the system is proactively telling me the things I should be looking at and guiding me to saying, hey, there's a problem here in the Midwest. You might want to go look at that right now. And so the technology will become much more of an assisted technology to help people not only get the answers they need, but tell them when they should engage with their data.
So it's really, I like the word assistive. And I think that also the idea of kind of the human and the machine kind of collaborating for the benefit of the human and their organizations or their whatever agenda they have. So Francois, thanks so much for your time today. I mean, you explained certainly what Tableau does very clearly, how it interacts with Snowflake. You've really, I think, summoned up an image of the power of data analytics and data visualization that I think anybody who listens to this podcast is going to go away saying, let me get my hands on that capability. So it's been really educational. It's been really fascinating. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, it's been my pleasure. And I look forward to our growing partnership together between Snowflake, Salesforce, and Tableau. There's so much opportunity. And I'm glad that we're able to share this and continue the conversation together.
That does it for this episode of Rise of the Data Cloud. Thank you for listening. This episode is brought to you by Snowflake. To see how you can get secure and easy access to any data with near infinite scalability, visit snowflake.com.